This week on the awareness angle, it's a reminder that security problems don't stay neatly contained inside systems or organizations, from ransomware knocking out a major IT distributor to schools closing their doors after cyber disruption and attackers selling voice phishing kits like a product. The common thread is scale. Small points of failure, trusted platforms, and familiar channels are all being exploited to cause outsized real-world impact. All of that and more in this week's episode of The Awareness Angle. And with me, as always, is my partner in cybercrime prevention. It's Luke Pettigrew. How you doing, Luke?
Hey, Ant. Hey, everyone. Back for an episode.
I say with me as always, but you were feeling poorly last week. You weren't with me last week, but you're back this week, which is cool. Are you feeling better?
Yeah, no, all good now, thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. Just a little reminder for everyone listening or watching, all views and opinions we express in this podcast are our own and do not represent those of our employers. I have to say that now I have a new job because it matters. So that's cool. Right. Shall we get on with this week's show?
Yeah, let's go for the breaches.
Excellent. Here is Breachwatch. Right. I'll kick us off. Ingram Micro has confirmed it suffered a ransomware attack that forced parts of its internal infrastructure offline, disrupting order processing, logistics, and partner services that are all used by resellers and MSPs worldwide. This is quite a significant one. Ingram Micro, you know, they're not a small business. But this, the article in the Register says that they've disclosed that this ransomware attack happened in July last year and compromised the personal data of tens of thousands of employees. They've filed this with the Attorney General's office in Maine, in America, and confirmed that 42,521 people have been affected. Each person is going to receive a letter explaining that employee and job applicant records were affected. They've confirmed it took place on July the 2nd. Ingram Micro detected it 1 day later and then shut it down. They shut their systems down. Kind of reminds me of the scene of Ghostbusters when they're shutting down the trap, the containment. Yeah. It's like, shut it down. And then they turn everything off. Yeah. It must be a scary place to be. But anyway, personal information, names, contact information, and dates of birth were exposed, as were identity document numbers such as passports, driver's licenses, and social security numbers, and work-related evaluations. Wow, that's that could be sensitive if that gets out. So daily revenues of approximately $190 million Ingram Micro have. Within days, they resumed orders and got things up and running, which is impressive when you compare what happened to the likes of M&S and Jaguar Land Rover, where they were offline for months and months and months. There is some criticism here. The Register reports that customers have criticised their communication, some unable to find the attack updates until the Register directed them to information. One customer told the Register the lack of communication is poor. I get they might not want to reveal all, but some communication and reassurance would be appreciated.
It's not great that they found out through a news article.
Not at all. Why are we talking about this now in January when this happened in July as well? That's
yeah, I'm not sure.
This was reported. This was reported in July, because I've just found a link to a report in July, but I think they've only just now disclosed how many people it's affected.
Right.
We had one. I had one last week that, again, or was it the week before, where no, it was, we spoke about it. I think it started off really small. They said like 7,000 people were impacted, and then by 6 months later they said no, actually it's 500,000 or something like that. And it's like, wow, like how can you get that wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess things maybe develop and find out more things over time.
This is why communication's really difficult in these situations, isn't it? Because you kind of, the customers want to know, but you don't want to give false hope and you don't want to tell them the wrong thing. So a PR team, like we work in internal comms, essentially, and we're all like, yeah, tell them, like, let's spread the word, let's be honest, we're all for transparency. But a PR team are there like, if you get this wrong, this could be big. So you need to get it right. It's a fine line. Anyway, move on to the next one. Ingram Micro. There you go. Next one, sir.
Well, next one we got Grubhub. Breach exposes customer, driver, and merchant data via third-party support system. So yeah, Grubhub are a food delivery platform. I believe they're owned by Just Eat, but I think this is like a certain area of the world that they are known as Grubhub. Might be America.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Grubhub owned Just Eat. No, you're right.
Maybe.
Just Eat bought Grubhub in 2020 for $7 billion. Not a small amount.
No,
Yeah, okay. So Grubhub is owned by Just Eat. Carry on, sorry.
Yeah. So they're an American food ordering and delivery platform. And yeah, they've basically confirmed a data breach after hackers accessed their systems. And now they're now facing extortion demands. And this has come from a third-party system that Grubhub use. So I think it says here that's their customer support system. So the criminals were able to get customer data, driver, and various merchants. Grubhub confirmed that it doesn't expose full card payment details, bank details, or social security numbers, but does include names, addresses, phone numbers, partial payment information, and order-related details. And yeah, they've had to shut down access to the affected systems. Says that they've rotated credentials and they're working with forensic experts to investigate. It says as well on this is a bleeping computer story, and it says how last month Grubhub was linked to a wave of scam emails sent from one of their subdomains, which was promoting cryptocurrency, promising a tenfold return on Bitcoin payments. And then at the time, Grubhub said they contained that issue and took steps to prevent further unauthorized messaging, but they haven't confirmed whether they were connected incidents, but you'd probably think they would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've not confirmed who it was, but it's suspected that it's shiny hunters who are extorting the Grubhub at the moment, but there's no verification on those claims. And yeah, I think the platform was Zendesk, according to this. And yeah, there's not much more on this, but I'm sure there'll be some more to come, but it doesn't, does it say? Okay, yeah, so the claim is 1.5 billion data records, I believe, or maybe that's a separate. That's that's the Salesforce breach they're talking about here.
They were done with the Salesforce breach as well, weren't they? Grubhub.
Right, yeah. So they were included in that. So I guess if you're a Grubhub user, be careful.
It does make you wonder if this is, did they actually get them out of their systems, or is this just them? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Was this data taken then? Have they kept persistent access or left a back door open so they can get in? How confident are you that you've actually got them out? You have to ask that question, surely.
No, it seems that obviously they have access or had access to their customer support, and then obviously with that thing last month with one of their subdomains getting compromised, you think they'd have quite deep access to be able to do those two different things, but no real confirmation yet, but something to keep an eye on. Yeah.
If we find out more, we'll talk about it in another episode. Yeah. Right. I'll move on to the next one. The next one, which is smaller scale. Minnesota, a data breach compromised records of 300,000 people at the Minnesota Department of Human Services last week. So they've sent breach notification letters out to nearly 304,000 people saying that their data was compromised last fall. So that's the autumn of 2025. The breach began apparently late August when a user affiliated with the healthcare provider began accessing state data without authorization through a system called MN Choices. According to the website, that system supports counties, tribes, and managed care organizations servicing state residents who need long-term services and support that they need to live a good life. State hasn't found any evidence that the information accessed in the system has been misused, and that the notification has been issued out of an abundance of caution. What a lovely word to say, an abundance of caution. So over the course of 1 month, this is from State Scoop. I got this. I think I got this from somewhere else, but this one is reported in State Scoop, a source I've never used before. The user accessed a system that provided income data, educational backgrounds, demographic data. The breach was detected in November the 18th. So the breach began late August, was detected November the 18th. Wow. The user by then had accessed information including names, phone numbers, dates of birth, address, Medicaid, ID numbers, and partial social security numbers. So yeah, the breach was identified by a government IT firm that manages the system, and then they've hired a cybersecurity company to do forensics. So yes, they're monitoring billing information to see if any of the compromised details have been used to commit fraud. But if you have people in Minnesota or in those areas, that might be an interesting story to tell them. Minnesota is the one that I keep seeing on my news feed all of the time, isn't it? Yeah, that's where. Yeah. It's all kicking off in Minnesota, which is we won't get into the other stuff. But if you have employees in Minnesota, you might want to tell them about this data breach just in case they aren't aware.
Cool. Move on to the next one.
Yeah.
I think this is the last Breachwatch we have. UK secondary school was forced to close after a cyber attack disrupted its systems. So a school in Warwickshire, a secondary school, they're set to reopen now. They had a cyber attack that forced prolonged closure, and they're returning with very limited access to IT systems. So this is Hyam Lane School in Nuneaton, January 16th. And they basically shared an update and confirmed that their students would return. Would have been probably last week from this episode being released, but they were basically struck by a serious cyber attack after Christmas, and it wiped out access to core IT systems and forced them to close on safety grounds. This went on beyond email and classroom software, and it basically left the school unable to operate even with basic physical safety systems. So it seems to be affected a lot of their systems, including electronic gates used to secure the site and fire alarm, even electronic registered desks for students to. So basically a lot of connected systems were affected by that single sort of cyber attack. And they basically were given advice of cyber experts from Department of Education and the police to close. They're hoping to reopen, but with limited operations. I don't think it says much more on what exactly, whether any data was stolen. I don't think they've said, they've not disclosed any of that. They've not said who's responsible, and no one's claimed the attack.
What's the betting it's one of the students? Like we spoke weeks ago about my niece, the teacher, like on a teacher's portal, when you type in the password, the characters were visible. From that, what's the betting? Like it could have been the head teacher have typed their password in or something, or like access to systems. This is secondary school, right? They're going to be teaching all kinds of stuff. And you look at Scattered Spider and Lapsus, how many times is it teenagers have been arrested? It's always teenagers being arrested. What's the betting someone got upset with the school? So it was like, we've just started watching Stranger Things again. And Dustin's girlfriend hacks into his school system to change his Latin grade from a C- to like an A. It's Yeah.
No, it does say in this article on the register, recent stats from the ICO indicate that teenagers themselves are behind a significant share of school cyber incidents, often exploiting weak passwords and poorly secured systems rather than sophisticated exploits. And I guess it could even be as simple as a teacher forgetting to lock their computer as they go out of the room or something. There's all sorts of simple ways in, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be mastermind hackers to breach.
The fact, this probably says more, the fact that they could shut down physical safety systems as well, the fire alarm, door entry systems. Surely you have to question, have we gone too far in connecting everything? At what point do we say maybe everything shouldn't be connected to the internet? Does a fire alarm Does a fire alarm need to be on the same system? I mean, this is where you should isolate systems, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
they probably
the
don't have
school,
that, right?
they probably don't, but they probably have one broadband connection. I know schools like this, they've probably got one broadband connection. Even like getting BT, the service provider, to come in and do work, they can't comprehend that the school must be functional at certain times. So it's like, it's difficult. This isn't a small school either. It looks like, how many students?
It doesn't say in the article, but when they go
No.
from year 7 to year 13.
It's 1,500, 1,470 students. It's not a small school. Yeah. So it's this school's got some history. I'm just on the Wikipedia page. So it's a business and enterprise specialist school. June 2017, the school made national news when a 15-year-old boy took a double-barreled shotgun and 200 cartridges into the school with the intent of endangering life.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And funny enough, director Gareth Edwards, who directed Monsters, Godzilla, and Rogue One, went there. He also did Jurassic World Rebirth, which was really good. Yeah. Right. School IT, like why it's scattered lapsus spiders. I can't see them wasting their time with that. They're not allowed to pay a ransom. Like schools aren't allowed. You're never going to get a ransom from a school ever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but the police will look into it and they'll treat that really harsh. If that's a student, they're probably going to regret doing that in a moment of madness. But there we go.
Yeah, cool.
Right. That's it for Breachwatch. So let's move on to this week's news. Right, the first one this week. Microsoft have released an emergency Windows update. This isn't something we talk about very often. It's probably something that should happen more. But they've released multiple out-of-band updates for Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server to fix 2 issues that were caused by Patch Tuesday.
No.
That's probably why they've issued an emergency patch, because they caused them. So the first one blocked access to Microsoft 365 Cloud PC sessions, and this meant that users would try to log in and they would be told that their credentials were wrong. And then the second issue prevented some PCs from shutting down or entering hibernation. That only happened on Windows 11.
All right.
There's not really much more to say on this, but it just goes to show the importance of updates. And it's nice that Microsoft have found an issue, accepted it, and have gone back to fix it really quickly. Install your update. What it doesn't say, this is bleeping computer again, but it doesn't say whether that out of band update, I gather that out of band update has only gone to supported Windows 10 devices. They would have been the only ones that would have got patched in Patch Tuesday. So if you're still running Windows 10 and you're not paying for extended support, time to buy a new PC or switch to Linux. That's it. That's that news story done.
Cool.
Over to you.
Yeah, so the next one we've got cyber criminals are now selling ready-made voice phishing kits. So this is the story talks about these kits basically sort of everything you need to run convincing phone scams with almost no technical skill. So it includes a bunch of scripts, call flows, backend panels, and AI-generated voices that mimic banks, IT support, and trusted organizations. So buyers of these can launch voice phishing campaigns quickly and target employees or customers by phone instead of email. And then socially engineer them, manipulate them to handing over their credentials and PIN codes and approve fraudulent actions, I guess. Can include like payment scams and stuff like that as well. Phishing kits are quite common, but voice phishing are probably relatively new. It was the sort of advancement in AI voice generation and stuff like that.
We've seen so many vendors popping up with voice phishing solutions now, like demos.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much, and I had a conversation with one of the big vendors in this space that wasn't sure about the legalities of it. So they were like, they'd brought it to market, they'd pulled it back, and because they weren't sure what side of the law it sat on with the voice phishing. But One of the sales pitches many security vendors do now is creating a deep fake of like a CEO and then presenting that to the company to show their skills and to make them gain interest. And it works, right? You know, it gets the attention. But of course, that kind of technology was also going to be used by the bad guys and packaged up and sold if possible, which is exactly what you're describing here. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of social engineering with this. In this news article on the Register, it talks about typical sort of way the attack plays out. So they said that the attackers perform a reconnaissance, learning about the target, usernames, what apps they use, phone numbers for IT support. Often that can be found on company websites or in LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's pretty common
Even
knowledge.
Chatbots as well, AI chatbots nowadays. And then, they use the phishing kit to create a realistic login page, call the victim up with a spoofed hotline support number, pretending to be company's help desk, convince them to visit the page. And they obviously, the victim enters their username and password. And then it's obviously sent to the attacker. And then they, if MFA is involved, they get asked for their one-time code or to accept the notification. And obviously the victim believes that they're logging in, may not necessarily know the risks of that sort of thing, but obviously then the attacker gets full access to their system, and they don't necessarily have to do the voice themselves, right? This can all be automated nowadays. So a lot of things to think about. We speak a lot about people, if you get phoned out of the blue or asked to phone a number, never do that. Always find the number on the company's website, and obviously if it's IT support calling you, it's very unusual.
I think if you get a call from IT support, the message here has to be you call them back on the number you trust. You make it an outgoing call rather than an incoming call.
Especially if you're not expecting.
And then it's
ticket with them or something.
Call me on my direct line. No, I'll call the general number that I know that's available on my Confluence page or my, because this is the game of trust, isn't it? Why, if you don't talk about this and make users aware that this stuff happens, then they'll just trust it completely.
Next story.
That's frightening. Right, I've lost my story page. There it is. Too many tabs open. Right, next one tonight. Malicious Chrome extension crashes browsers to push fake fix in ClickFix variant. We have a new version of ClickFix. This is called CrashFix.
How many fixes are we going to get?
Yeah. Posing as an ad blocker. So this crashes the browser into installing crashes the browser and then encourages the victim to install malware, but the victim thinks they're fixing the problem. So it's called CrashFix. It starts with NextShield browser extension, which actually impersonates uBlock Origin Lite. How dare they? And then it displays a fake security warning. And I've actually got a screenshot here. Let me get this up on the screen. Hang on. Let's just pop this on the screen and I can talk you through. Here we go. This is from Security Week. And you can see here it says it's black screen. Security issue detected. Microsoft Edge has detected potential security threats that may compromise your browsing data. You need to manually fix this. Open Win+R, press Ctrl and V, press Enter. The repair command was copied to your clipboard. If you're having trouble, you can manually copy and run the command below. So, it's all there. Just the wording there, like you need to manually fix this. Microsoft are never going to write that. That's not the right tone of.
Yeah.
And we say with AI, I'm surprised it's that bad given that AI could write this better. Do you know what I mean? You need to manually fix this. I don't think that doesn't sound like that's written by someone with English as a first language. Or who's very user, it's not good UI language, that. Anyway. Yes. So that's the warning that appears. It copies PowerShell commands to the clipboard, masquerading as a repair command, but it infects the system with Modelo rat. However, this is the interesting one. Only hosts that are domain joined are infected, which suggests that the threat actor behind the campaign, dubbed Kong Took, is targeting corporate environments. So they're clearly targeting corporate. If you're on a home PC, apparently this won't be infected. Doesn't mean you should drop your guard though. And it basically operates a denial of service attack against the browser, which then crashes the browser. Yeah, the browser becomes unresponsive and crashes. And if the browser is restarted, the fake security warning is then displayed. And it sets a timer. God, it's using it sets a timer so the malicious behavior is triggered 60 minutes after installation. Then it uses all the tricks in the book, right? Absolutely. But essentially, the core behaviors are exactly the same. It's a different delivery method, but there it is. It's asking you to press Win plus R, press Control and V, and then run. And it doesn't matter how it's delivered. That's still the same thing. It could be a Windows blue screen of death we had a few weeks ago. We've had it in web pages. We've now got it on browser malfunctions. Obviously this actual attack method works. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell those that are more vulnerable, that aren't as IT savvy. Just, if anything, ask you to press Win plus R. Massive red flag. Massive red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That won't be the last fix that we see. I'm sure they'll be interested to know what's next.
What do you reckon the next one will be? Can we think what the next? I don't know. This is the thing, right? You can't even prepare for this stuff because someone will just is it going to be webcam fix? Like your webcam starts flickering and a message appears telling you if you want to fix your web. Like it could literally be anything, and that's the whole point. It doesn't matter how it's delivered. It's what it's trying to get you to do that's important.
The malicious action,
Yeah. Next one.
Cool. So next story we've got EU launched their new vulnerability database as an alternative to CVE. So this is the European Union launching a database called GCVE. What does it stand for? It's a global CVE allocation system. And this is positioned as a regional alternative and a backup to the long-running CVE system, following growing concern in Europe about reliance on a single US-funded vulnerability numbering program, and the risks that creates if funding or governance or access is disrupted. Basically creating their own.
We had concerns. We spoke about that a few months ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
there was concerns for 24, 48 hours. The funding had been pulled by Doge, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, it's not, it's fine. Because
So they're basically creating their own system, very similar in that way. Runs on its own infrastructure, and it says it will sort of link to existing CVE records where possible. And they've said that their new system is designed to strengthen the digital sovereignty and resilience, not necessarily to replace CVE outright. Introduces possibility of parallel identifiers, duplicated records, and extra complexity for vendors who are already using CVEs. Something to think about, I guess. Some people may want to move over to it entirely.
It is frustrating that this is necessary because CVE has been like that source of truth for so long.
Yeah.
That now people have to check both sources, register with both sources. It'll have two numbers. It does make for a more confusing space. But if the stability of one can't be trusted, then unfortunately we have to go.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it could be that actually you end up just checking one. Like if this is good, GCVE. It's got the same name.
Launched on
line.
Maybe it launched on the 7th of January.
Right.
It's gcve.eu is the domain. There's a subdomain for the database, open and freely accessible vulnerability advisory database. Uses more than 25 public sources. Yeah. Interesting to see who starts using it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a alternative people can start using if they want to.
I think it's listing. I think maybe it's the same, because when you look at it, they are all CVEs. So maybe it's like a backup, and then I don't know enough, so I shouldn't really comment really. But maybe it is pulling from the CVE database, and then should Mitres CVE database go, this can carry on. That would make sense. So you only have to register one, and then it kind of sings together. And the hope would be that the numbers are the same, I suppose. Like I'm looking here, CVE. Let me just Google this CVE number and see if it pulls up both. So yeah, that's come up on this. That's come up on MongoDB. Yeah, so maybe that's widely recognized. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, awesome. So we have another source to pull from, GCVE.e. Right. Another news story this week. Phishing campaign targets LastPass users with fake security alerts. The news here isn't that people are still using LastPass. Obviously, LastPass still have lots of users. But LastPass, if you are a LastPass customer, then be wary for phishing emails, I think is the message. They're trying to trick you into handing over master passwords, which you should never do, using convincing fake security notifications. So you get emails and messages that warn of unusual login activity or account issues, which encourage you to click a link that lead to lookalike LastPass login pages. Dark Reading says that this isn't the result of a new LastPass breach, but this is just a classic credential harvesting campaign that is trying to trick you into giving up your credentials. So given the customer, once credentials are added into the fake site, attackers can access password vaults and potentially pivot to multiple other accounts. I think what's important here is you have multi-factor authentication turned on your password manager. It should be a given. And also I don't use LastPass anymore, but I get a notification from the one I do use that tells me where I've logged in. Like a new login has been detected here. So anything like that, you need to lock down on. But yeah, there's no pattern to this. So they're coming from multiple subject lines, multiple domains. Some say back up their vaults due to scheduled maintenance. Apparently some of the email addresses look fairly plausible as well, such as support@lastpass.server8. Body of the email also looks believable. Yeah, things like LastPass infrastructure update, secure your vault now. Your data, your protection, create a backup before maintenance. Back up your vault before maintenance. Protect your passwords, back up your vault, 24-hour window. So, yeah, it's just don't. If you get an email from LastPass, go to LastPass. Click on the browser extension to access your vault, or go to lastpass.com. Do not trust the links in emails. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more companies stop putting links in emails and just telling people to go. You need to build your brand, build your website, make sure you've got a good enough domain so you can tell users to go to the destination and log in. That's essentially. Don't put a link in, just tell people to go to the homepage. If I tell people to subscribe to the newsletter, they should know to go to riskycreative.com where they can subscribe to the newsletter.
Nicely dropped in.
Well, yeah. Do you subscribe to our newsletter? Our newsletter contains links to all the stories we discuss in every episode. And then it delves a little bit deeper into 3 or 4 of them, just with a bit more information and our opinion. The newsletter comes out every Monday morning, lands in your inbox, and it's got links to YouTube, Spotify, podcast platforms, and more details. If you want to get it, you can subscribe at riskycreative.com or search for the awareness angle on LinkedIn, and you can get it there. Also on Risky Creative, I haven't told you, Luke, this yet. We've got some new merchandise available on riskycreative.com. I actually pulled the trigger, and we've got some new T-shirts, notebooks, mugs, and something else. So if you've seen our stickers, our Click Happens, People Patcher, and Live, Laugh, Lock Screen. So if you want some security awareness merch, it's not all awareness angle branded. Some of it just looks cool for awareness people, and we don't make a lot of money on it. We get it to you as cheaply as we can, and it's all done through a trusted third party, so the product should be a decent quality. and they're all there for you. If there's something you want that we don't do, let us know. riskycreative.com. Get in touch. hello@riskycreative.com. Cool. Okay.
Couple more stories.
Go on then. Couple more stories and then we'll get on to the topics.
This one's just, I guess, a bit of a heads up. So UK government are consulting on banning social media for under 16s in the UK. So yeah, not long after Australia obviously imposed their ban, the UK government are now launching a national consultation asking whether that social media platforms should be banned for users under the age of 16 in the UK as a part of a broader effort to make the internet safer for children. And obviously this is in addition and goes beyond the age verification that came in place. And yeah, so obviously supposed to help children stay off of harmful social media content, but it makes you wonder when we spoke before about social media is not removing the content maybe as quickly or as well as they could do. Instead, it seems to be a case of this banning access, which I'm not sure I agree with. But yeah, it just says it'll run through 2026, this consultation, and the government will respond later in the year. And if any new laws are introduced, likely to come into force from 2027 onwards. And obviously, yeah, Online Safety Act is already being enforced at the moment, but we know how not so good the verification systems can be with people just bypassing them pretty easy.
I don't know how I feel about this. I know we've spoken about Australia's before. I've got kids of various ages. My daughter's 13. She's got TikTok. I didn't let her have TikTok until she was 12, 13. And even then it's limited. So many parents don't realize that there's parental controls on all of these social platforms. Parents, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, there's parental controls on all of these. So you can really restrict what the accounts do. Spotify, people don't realize Spotify, you can comment and chat. It's
new features now, isn't there?
Exactly, because they're all looking to make them more social because it makes it more sticky. So I think, and this is what leads to this problem. But yeah, my daughter uses TikTok way more than I'd like her to. To the other extreme, what happens when they're 16? My daughter also makes videos and she's learning skills about making videos. We make content and she talks to me about stuff. And do I want to disrupt that creativity? This is our next generation of filmmakers, producers, podcasters, all of that. And the things she watches videos on, dancing and stuff like that, are all things she's passionate about. So the days of having 4 channels have gone. I think it's not about removing, for me, it's not removing access. It's better restrictions on the content that they can access. And that's where this feels nuclear. It feels like Meta, Instagram, all these platforms aren't doing a good enough job. So we have to pull the plug.
Yeah.
It's probably a whole conversation on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They're definitely not good for mental health. Definitely not. It's
not about parental controls and well-being set on the devices and stuff, but even then you can get past those, right?
You can. Yeah. Even then, an iPad, there was an ad on one of the games the kids was playing and it said a swear word. And then my kids looked up and went, and I'm how that's an ad on a game. How is that allowed? The whole ecosystem's just out to make money without any morals. And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. With stuff like this, maybe we need to ban it and then it can creep back in a more controlled fashion. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it would make them take action.
Maybe. I know a book I read ages ago. It was an expose on Facebook, and they said Facebook numerous times have tried to do a children's Facebook for kids. It's long been a passion. This book claims that it's long been a passion of Facebook to have a social network for children, young children. It's Jesus, they can't handle those relationships as it is. My 5-year-old struggles socially at school already. She needs time at home to switch off from that. Yeah. Anyway, which leads us nicely into the final news story today, which TikTok, we've spoke months and months ago about the TikTok ban, and then it was another 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, TikTok being banned in the US because, it all goes to China. Well, apparently, as of the day we're recording this, TikTok has finalized a deal that separates its US operations from the global business, which means there's now going to be a new joint venture, which is widely being reported as TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. That's catchy. The US app, US user data, and key operation controls are going to be under majority American ownership. ByteDance, founding company, retains a minority stake, whilst a group of investors, including Oracle, I know we'd spoken about that before, Larry Ellison, take significant ownership positions. Oracle are also going to play a central role in hosting and securing US data and running security controls. The interesting thing here, which has always been the interesting thing, which has never been made clear, is the algorithm, because that's the brain, isn't it? That's the intelligence. Where is that sitting? Does America now have its own algorithm? They need, either they're starting a new algorithm in the US or they need to leak that somewhere. I wonder if they've been blinded by the science and they're like, oh yeah, it's owned by Americans, but actually it's just it's owned by Americans, but all the data still goes to China. It's fine. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how that changes things if people see a noticeable difference.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, from over here though, it could be a good thing. Because if my algorithm now isn't influenced by America, like my Reddit feed is influenced by, you go to Reddit all, it's literally Minnesota, ice, American politics, because they're the most popular and controversial posts on all.
Yeah.
So maybe it's an opportunity for a bit of a cleanse for people that aren't in that space, which, let's face it, will be good for everyone's mental health.
Yeah.
That's it for the news this week. So the next section is topics. So I have a couple of topics to talk about. The first one is really, really quick. And this is a Reddit post I saw, which I thought was quite funny. And this is from non-political Twitter, which has got to be a decent Twitter. Maybe I should spend some more time on non-political Twitter. I'll share the screen here and we can see. And it's the post is, and that's why you always write down your passwords. And then it's a tweet that says, I'm going to kill myself from 3 years ago. And it's a picture of a password box with a password hint. Come on. It's like, how are you meant to remember? And I've had conversations like this before, like people leave themselves password hints that aren't hints at all. Or it's obvious. And this is where you go to reset your password, obviously, because you can't remember your password. Some of the comments on this were quite funny. I made one of the sacred password questions to my student loans account. Who is Goblin Boy? Girl, I don't know. And then everybody is trying to guess. Is it Tyler, the Creator? And stuff like that. And it's like, no, it's none of these. Another one, I was really proud of one of my passwords when I was 13. The hint was, where are the stars? And the password was just one click of the space bar. Space. I didn't get that for a second and then it dropped. Hint, password. So look, don't write down your passwords. Use a password manager. And it's quite refreshing, actually. The organization, should I say that? I know an organization, and the amount they rely on a password manager is really refreshing. Like, there's literally only 2 passwords you need to remember, the one to get into your computer and the one to get into your password manager. And that's from day one. And I think that's brilliant. Literally, those 2 passwords are all I need to remember. And it's great.
Yeah.
I kind of gave it away, but I'm sure it'd be fine. No one listens to this anyway. It'll be fine. I wanted to mention I have two more things. The first one is a really quick, just opinion point. There was a conversation. I'm not going to share it. Because it got messy. There was a conversation on LinkedIn this week about human risk, about the phrasing and positioning of human risk as a phrase. We work in security awareness, the awareness angle, but we're seeing that move towards human risk, a phrase that someone we work with, my old CISO, wasn't a fan of, because human risk is so much wider. Physical security, health and safety. Human risk isn't. We just focus on cybersecurity. We don't get into all of that. But someone basically said human risk, using the phrase human risk, calls humans a risk. Now, this is like victim blaming again. They're positioning it like that. And it's like, my argument was, no, we're not calling humans a risk, but intrinsically the way humans behave is with risk, because we're inquisitive, we're curious, we're helpful, we're passionate, we get triggered by good things, bad things, lures. That's just what makes us human. So we're fallible. All of us have the potential for risk. And that's what human risk focuses on. It's like identifying that risk. It's not going, humans are a risk, in the same way that humans are the weakest link. Do you think, I'm not a fan of human risk, but you get that, right? You think the same?
Yeah.
It's not blaming people.
You could talk about it for hours, right? But yeah, I guess it's seeing it from someone's perspective that's not in cybersecurity. They probably would see it as they're being blamed as the problem. But yeah, I think it's too specific for a cybersecurity perspective. Like we said, there's so much more than just the human element involved. It's like a subcategory of it.
Yeah. When we worked together, I had conversations about changing our job title and changing the name of our little micro function from security awareness to human risk. Like us becoming like human risk lead, that kind of thing. But the discussion from our old CISO was basically, I don't think, it doesn't describe what you do. It's far too wide. And you don't do all of the things that describe the risks that humans introduce. So, yeah, it's tricky. Right, I'll move on to my last topic. Action fraud. We've spoken about action fraud before, which is UK's National Reporting Centre for Fraud and Cybercrime. Did you know that they've changed their name? They've had a rebrand.
Not until you said.
They're now Report Fraud. I think this is great. I think it's bad that this happened apparently 2 weeks ago and it hasn't been widely reported, although you can Google action fraud like I've done there and Report Fraud comes up. So Report Fraud is their new name, which is great because that's essentially, what does action fraud mean to anyone? It sounds like an 80s.
They're creating
sounds like
fraud.
It sounds like an 80s TV show. Action fraud. Tune in, BBC One. So report fraud is like an instruction. What do you do when you're there? You report fraud. So that's great. Good rebrand. My brother actually sent this to me because he'd go, and this is great. Before we get into that, I've just visited the website. In an emergency situation, tap the escape key 3 times to exit the site. And on mobile, it gives you a little button, hover button that's sticky. So if I'm on that website, if I press
broken it.
Well, there we go. I just did it and it's taken me to BBC. It's replaced that tab with Wikipedia and it also opened BBC News. That's really clever. I suppose if you're in a sticky situation, you can hide quickly. Now, again, cookies, the minute cookie banners can be gone, it's a good thing. I love this. If you're a business, charity or organization under a cyber attack, call this number immediately. Brilliant. Nice call to action. Nice and bold. Okay. So you want to make a report. I love this. Report fraud, great branding, good name, good strong. It's the right kind of positive name, that kind of thing. I want to make a report. So I click make a report. It's taking me through a cipher. make a report, sign in or register. You can't see this. I'm sorry. Sign in or register. So eventually it takes me to sign in or register. Okay. I'm just going to run that back again so you can see it all. Hang on. Because I didn't realize it bounced me out to another page. There is a real point to this. My brother made me aware of this, and it's a really good catch. And again, government maybe not doing everything they should. So we come to report fraud. We click make a report. It opens in a new tab. Slightly frustrating, but and then when you're there, it's slightly frustrating that I can't use the sharing on this browser properly. Another banner. Okay, make a report. Now it asks me to sign in or register. Okay. By registering, you can save and resume a partly completed report, track the progress of your report, add information to your report, or you can continue as a guest. Now, if I click sign in and register, it's asking me to sign in. What you can't see is this has taken me to a completely different URL. This has taken me to report fraud ceexternal.ciamlogin.com rather than the one I was on previously, which was reportfraud.police.uk. Do you know why my brother reached out to me on this? Because his AVG antivirus claimed that this was a phishing page.
No.
So the page you're meant to create an account to report fraud, AVG flagged as phishing. Who do you trust? What the? It's, and ciamlogin.com is an Azure ID identity management login for you to expose like Azure apps and stuff. So it's Microsoft, essentially.
Right, yeah.
But again, there's a government aid. We've spoken about this with the NHS before and other stuff. No one thinks about the routing. That there must be a way to front that with the trusted domain that it was at previously. And just this, it's taken me to a sign-in page. Like, why is it not? It should take me straight to an account creation page. These might not be IT savvy people here that are doing this. It's really frustrating that this kind of workflow isn't more considerate to those like the elderly or the more vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. And the fact that it's a different domain, it just sucks. Really.
Even looking at, if you go back to the guest option, it's not very clear with what you're supposed to be doing. It also then pops up again with the exact same stuff. I mean, this is on the same domain though, right? So that I don't see why they can't embed it in. But
obviously, the identity management is managed by Azure. That's they must put it in a iframe or something. There must be a better way to do it. Just this is clunky as anything. And I mean, I would encourage right now. I didn't know CIAM login was Microsoft until I Googled it. And even if you Google it, like I'll do that now in this same tab, ciamlogin.com. I think I need to put a question mark on it. Look, the top result, flagged as malicious by browsers, authenticating with
2023 as well.
Yeah. But there's nothing here helping people. Why have Microsoft not got a page right at the top that isn't about it being flagged as malicious by browsers? Like the first thing we would tell someone, if in doubt about the domain, research the domain. I researched that. My initial thought here, flagged as deceptive. Why? My guess is that Azure identities are being created by attackers to simulate real functions. I don't know.
Probably,
all I know is report fraud should be changing that, because I love the rebrand, hate that user experience. It's awful.
No, it's not Not very straightforward or
No.
clear.
No, it's not. I mean, my brother's fairly tech savvy. He used to work in tech. You know, he's very IT literate, and he messaged me a screenshot of his AVG warning saying, "What do you think of this?" So, if he was right to question it, how many more people aren't creating accounts because they don't trust it? And the fact you normalize that as well means people are going to trust it, and then they'll trust something that's bad. Like, build it better. You've done that rebrand probably cost thousands. Build it better. Just, you let down by the tiniest little thing. It's crap. There we go.
I had a couple of videos to share quickly.
Cool.
Drop those in before we finish. So the first one's quite just a funny one of the state of the internet with AI in 2026. And it's the guy, Show Tools AI. We've seen his videos before. He does a lot of like awareness on how to spot AI videos. And for those just listening, it's just a video on the recent Russian snowstorm. There's a lot of news stories about like images of lots of snow around apartment blocks. And
I saw a video of a guy jumping out of an apartment window into snow. I didn't even question if it was AI, to be honest, but I remember it was on my Reddit feed. Like, there's so much snow you can jump out of an apartment window, and he literally jumped and then was like deep in snow. Now you've got me wondering if that was AI.
You might see it in this video.
Okay.
I think this is something that probably comes up every other year. I'm sure I've seen this before. Yeah, I'll play the video because, I won't play all of it because it's quite long.
See the snow in Russia? Yeah, that's AI though. No, it's real. I saw it on the news. The snow was real, but that video's AI. Yeah, and the snowdrifts were huge. People were skiing on them. That one's also AI. That's impossible. Can you not tell that? Yeah, see what happened in Russia? Whoa, that's cool. That's an AI video, dude. No, it says this is not AI. They are wrong. Pause and look at how crooked those buildings are. It's clearly AI. So you're telling me that this video... Yes, I'm telling you the disaster movie ones are AI, but other videos are real. But that's not a disaster. That looks fun. Guys, they got like 10 feet of snow and some crazy snow drifts, but they aren't like 10 stories high. No one's skiing down them. Okay, so this one's real? No, how would they film that? And look at the AI wobble. Okay, look, this is what a real one looks like. Yeah, here's another one. I think they're all the same. They got a lot of snow. No, they're not the same. These are real videos of humans solving real problems and having fun with a difficult situation. And these are fake videos taking advantage of that situation and grabbing your attention for no reason. So how did you find those?
Yeah, so you get the idea of it.
Yeah. Just for anyone who's listening and not watching, it is a collage of fake videos, real videos, like massive, like day after tomorrow tidal wave level snow, lumps of snow versus like what is deep snow. And yeah, I haven't seen the videos of like roads carved out of ice. That's insane. It reminds me of Ice Road Truckers, which used to be on the TV years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, sort of the state of social media. You probably see it all over Facebook Reels and stuff.
You can see on the right-hand side there, some of the two of the videos that were featured in his video are there. Would you want to visit? Sveta from Russia 0, 62,000 likes. And then there's another one, Snow Apocalypse, 147,000 likes.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
That's another one, Russia's Far Eastern by Cheddar, 49,000 likes. That's why people are making this content. It's for they're probably monetizing that and they'll get more followers. Those accounts probably got millions of followers, which means they can monetize them. So it's, God, that's mad.
No, it is quite crazy. But yeah, social media platforms, I think, need to do a bit more with tracking down fake AI accounts. Content gets labeled now with AI and stuff like that. But yeah, I think
it's not obvious.
A bit more.
I think so. In his video, he's watermarked real and AI, and I think that's the type of thing we should have. I don't think it's Jack Dorsey who founded Twitter. He was relaunching Vines, wasn't he, with no AI content. I kind of feel like Like, I would much rather browse a platform that didn't have AI content. I've got no interest in watching AI content. I like this. No interest at all.
Yeah. It reminds me as well, I think YouTube were one of the platforms that were trying to tackle that, like channels with, I guess, what people call AI slop, from being able to monetize and stuff like that.
I know recently they got rid of one of the big movie fake trailer sites. They were so annoying. Like, my brother said to me, "Oh, they're making a live Simpsons movie with Adam Sandler as Homer," and I'm like, "Where?" It's like, I've seen the trailer, and I'm like, "No, that's not real. That's not real."
Yeah.
And the problem is, it only gets more and more convincing. Like, you see the comparisons of Will Smith eating pasta 3 years ago versus Will Smith eating pasta today, and yeah, it looks real now. 3 years ago, it looked awful. But
yeah,
I
got one more video from the same guy. This one talks about 5 ways to spot AI accounts.
Cool.
So let's quickly play the video and then we can discuss it.
Are everywhere. I'm talking AI people. None of these people are real. Here's how to identify these accounts. I look at this stuff all day. Number one, they are a brand new account. Not many real adults just discovered social media and are creating their pages now. November 22nd is important because Google's Nano Banana Pro came out that day. So if they had a big quality improvements in November or were created in November, it's a huge red flag. Number two, they primarily post photos. AI photos are farther ahead, so they'll lean on those. And if they make a video, it will have very little movement. Number three, they are already sponsored. Real people sell themselves out quicker than ever, I know, but if they're selling AI-coded apps or peptides and research chemicals or online products with very little overhead, those are big red flags because developing relationships with marketers takes time as a regular
person. Doesn't it? We know that.
Flipped. Someone who has something to sell can just spin up a fake AI person and lie to you about it. Number four, because Nano Banana Pro is so popular, that's the AI image generator, a lot of the AI photos will have SynthID watermarks. So Google does invisible watermarks so that if the visible watermark is scrubbed, you can still tell. You give the photo or a screenshot of it to Google Gemini, ask if it was made by Google AI, and it will tell you. But if it's a thirst trap account, something spicy, the spicy photos won't be made by Google, okay? Their more modest ones might be, so check those. Number five, there are still visual tells. The background here is not just lens bokeh. That is AI artifacting. Mirror selfies might have other mirrors in the background. That's a good tell. Backgrounds with structure or straight lines, the lines won't be straight. That's a giveaway, but it's much harder to spot, but that's okay because even if the AI photos were perfect, which they are not, the other tells are going to stick around for a while because humans are still doing human things. So get better at checking the sources rather than the individual photos or videos, and follow me to stay up to date on what the new models look like and fake people are.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, yeah. We'll put a link to these in the newsletter. So if you're listening, like, have a look at this week's newsletter at the awareness angle on LinkedIn or riskycreative.com, and you can look at the links to it if you want. But it's all really, really good points. You know, things like mirrors, the reflection of mirrors in mirrors is something I hadn't clocked before. The Google watermark as well, like the hidden watermark.
Mm-hmm.
The social platforms should check for that and then flag it. The social platforms don't care because they just want more traffic and more traffic.
Yeah,
and more traffic.
This is the problem we spoke about a lot before, isn't it? If they're getting
money,
interactions and money from ads on it, they're not really going to bother fixing it. But some good stuff, different tips to talk about and share.
I know YouTube are really bothered by AI slop because the quality of content, because part of YouTube's thing is they want people to watch longer. They're not, TikTok is all like scroll, but you know, you want people to watch it for a period of time. And I know what's quite refreshing is I read this week that the BBC have actually signed a deal with YouTube to make content for YouTube. So BBC Studios now are now going to be making content that will be broadcast only on YouTube as a production house, which I thought was cool. I don't know what they're making, but it's going to be targeted at a younger demographic, I think, and in the UK won't have ads, but outside of the UK will. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic in a way, isn't it, with Google, VO and Banana being used to create the AI slop, but they're so accessible.
They should know better than anyone how, because the problem is Google's so big. I haven't been close to Google for years, but years ago I was speaking to a tech team at Google, and they were basically telling me that they might as well not be the same company because they do so much. They're so siloed that there isn't the kind of crossover, even between like things you think would obviously work together. They don't. And I think back then it was like Google Workspace and Google Docs were like detached. They weren't like, you'd think they'd all be part of the same kind of function and team, but they weren't. And it's probably even madder now. They might as well be different companies. But you would have thought on YouTube they would know how to spot better than anyone content that was made by AI, bearing in mind a lot of the AI content is made by their own.
Yeah.
Essentially, though, you get a video. I mean, I suppose you can hide stuff in images and video, but like you can get a video, edit it in a different program, chuck it through Handbrake, change the way it looks and feels, and then upload it again. Still AI generated, but it's been through like 3 or 4 different platforms to try and scrub it and clean it and screen record it, all things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's so many other platforms coming out left, right, and everywhere.
Yeah.
Being able to do these sorts of things, continuing problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Right. I think that's all we got time for today. So don't forget, if you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube, follow us on TikTok. For second, I am on TikTok, Instagram @RiskyCreative, YouTube @RiskyCreative. Search for the Awareness Angle on Spotify or your podcast platforms. New episodes every Monday. And Luke, I'll talk to you next week.
Cool, yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
See you all later.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.